Let's see. What else? Huh? What's this? Some sort of manga only saint? Wait. What the hell? What the hell is this? Oh my! I don't even know where to start with this one. I mean, look at this. Just look at this. Anime Clones is right, because I have never had, nor will I ever have, such a fitting pairing for this show. But I guess the only way to start is by giving you a little backstory. First of all, Saint Seiya is one of my favorite anime, as in, it's in my top 5. Top 3 even. I first came across it in the early years of Toonami, when it was called Knights of the Zodiac. It stopped airing around the end of the first season, and I wouldn't come across it again until years later. And to my shock, there was more to this series than just those 20-ish episodes. The main series spans over 100 episodes, but aside from that, you have 3 miniseries, which serve as an ending to the original series. Then you have the prequel series, then the sequel series, then the spin-off series, and that's not even mentioning the tie-in movies and video games. And to my knowledge, that was it, until I found this. Was this some sort of Chinese or Korean ripoff version? Whatever it was, I knew I had to watch it. And before I even watched it, I knew I was going to make an episode about it. I mean, how could I not? And after watching both series, how does this new anime stack up to the original? Well, let's find out. With Seiya from Saint Seiya and Shurato from Legend of the Heavenly Sphere, Shurato. Let's begin. Appearance and personality. Well, first things first. Both names start with an S. You know what that means? If you couldn't tell just by looking, both characters are young teenagers with black eyes and bushy brown hair. Aside from their physical appearance, both also wear battle armor. Seiya wears the bronze Pegasus cloth, and Shurato uses the white lion Shakti. Strangely enough, both characters also have similar color schemes with their armors. Reds, yellows, and silver/white. Both armors are based on animals and have some level of sentience. Neither can walk or talk on their own or anything, but it's more like the wearer can sense the will of the armor. And, in Saint Seiya's case at least, the armor will directly oppose you, if not shoot off of you completely, if you go against its will. Fortunately, in both cases, the will of the armor basically amounts to protecting the goddess. Also, I just have to say, the Saint Seiya armor looks better. I mean, it's more sleek, less cumbersome, and just looks better in my opinion. I'll talk about it a little more when we talk about side characters, but the Shaktis just look so stiff. Although I will say, at one point, Seiya does get armor similar to Shurato when he unlocks his Pegasus God Cloth. Speaking of changing armors, both characters also gained gold winged armor. Seiya gains the ability to make his cloth go gold temporarily, and later goes on to don the gold Sagittarius cloth. Shurato also gains a new Shakti that is gold. Admittedly, while both armors look cool, the way they obtain these armors are completely different. Seiya had to train for years just to get the chance to compete in a contest to win a cloth. Shurato was just kind of given his. I mean, Shurato, he trained in martial arts since he was a kid, but that was completely unrelated. But when they're not wearing their armors, they wear similar casual outfits, I guess. Both of them started as pretty arrogant bastards too, but after some death-defying adventures, they mature up a bit. Seiya even becomes Pope. Both are also the Chosen One. Shurato is the reincarnation of an ancient warrior that defeated an evil god. In the Saint Seiya universe, it's generally considered that the person who wears the Pegasus cloth goes on to do great things. Seiya and his predecessor, Tenma, defeated the armies of Hades, and Hades himself.
Going, hey Hades, how you doing? Nice to see a nice face.
And Koga, who wore the Pegasus cloth after Seiya, fought Saturn to a standstill. In space! Powers and abilities. Now, I know this might come as a shock, but both Seiya and Shurato get their power from their armor. Obviously, the armor protects them from physical attacks, but it also protects them from light elemental damage, and dramatically increases their power. As previously stated, they both gained gold armor. Shurato's armor belonged to the original hero who defeated the evil gods thousands of years ago. As it turns out, Shurato is his reincarnation, and just like a certain other series, this new, extremely powerful armor is gold, with wings.
Wow! What a ripoff!
At one point, Seiya's armor was destroyed and repaired by a gold saint. As a result, it took on some of his power, drastically increasing the bronze cloth with power near to that of an actual gold saint. Years later, he would become the leader of the gold saints, and started wearing the gold Sagittarius cloth. Just like the Sagittarius constellation has a bow, so does Seiya with his new armor. It can fire either single or multiple physical or energy arrows. Shurato also has a weapon, and it's this thing. I don't know what it is, but a quick Google search told me it's a Vajra, which has deep spiritual meaning in the Hindu religion. But that seems almost meaningless because it's never explained in the anime, and Shurato only uses it to hit people. Of course, that's not to say that either one of them are completely reliant on their armor. Before even obtaining their armors, both of them trained for years in martial arts. Alongside martial arts, Seiya also learned about science, mostly learning about atoms, and how understanding how they work allows you to crush rocks with your bare hands.
Do you even science, bro?
The Seiya series also has something called Cosmo, which is their form of energy. The stronger your Cosmo, the more powerful you are, and the more senses you unlock. Aside from the 5 normal senses, Saints also have the opportunity to gain more senses. If you manage to get all 9, you're considered to be on the level of a god. Some gold saints even have the ability to cut off the saints of others. And when you gain enough Cosmo, you're pretty much indestructible. If you were blind before, you're not anymore. You can't be poisoned, normal physical attacks don't really hurt you, and you can potentially live forever.
Bakana! この世紀に満ちたコスモは老子が若返った。どういうことだ。
その時からわしの心臓は1年に10万回の鼓動を打つことしかなかったのじゃ。
なんとバカな。10万回とは人間が1日に打つ鼓動の数ではないか。それでは
わかるか。243年という歳月もわしの肉体にとってはわずか243日間でしかなかったということなの。
Do you even science, bro?
The Shurato series has an equivalent to Cosmo, called Shoma. It works pretty much the same way, only with a few less perks, and while it's not strictly related to their characters, both Seiya and Shurato have the option to combine their attacks with their teammates to unleash a gigantic last resort attack. Shurato's version is a 4-way attack that allows the participants to either fire all together or individually for a normal supercharged attack. Seiya's attack is done with 3 people and is a little more dangerous, which is why the technique is only known to Gold Saints, and it's only done strictly as a last resort effort, because the massive power unleashed by this attack is so strong that it also kills the users. And as strong as this attack is, God help you if they use it in their God cloth form. Ain't no one walking away from that. Now, while I do believe that all the cloths are generally better than the Shaktis, I will say that the Shaktis are at least more portable, seeing as they can fit in the palm of your hand, compared to the Saint Seiya series where, at least in the original, the Saints had to keep their cloths locked away in these personalized heavy stone boxes. Plus, the Shaktis, for some reason, seem to be jet-powered hoverboards. So, yeah, point for Shurato.
Well played, you son of a bitch.
Supporting characters. Hey, look at that. Both characters work in teams. Who would have guessed? Both teams are made up of 4 to 5 members. And oh look, both teams have a dragon, a phoenix, and a guy named Hyoga, who uses ice. You know, call it a hunch. But I bet this isn't gonna be the last obvious comparison we're gonna find. Oh look, a crazy girl and a non-blood related big sister type with red hair.
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone. Do what? Because I f***ing called it!
Okay. Let's pull it back a bit. Yes, both characters are part of a group. In Saint Seiya, the group can range depending on the series, and both groups share similar character types. The dragon, the phoenix, and Saint Seiya did have a unicorn in the main group, but it wasn't until years later. Although, to be fair, the unicorn did show up in the original series, albeit was a significantly reduced role. Really, he was like the Krillin of the Saints. Likewise, the Lion was also in the original series, before getting his own spin-off. And yes, both groups have a guy named Hyoga, and this is where I call BS. I mean, come on, man. Hyoga the Swan Saint uses ice, which, you know, makes sense. Swan, water, ice. But the other Hyoga, he's a tiger. What does a tiger have to do with ice? Not only that, but he has an ultimate ice prison technique just like the Saint Seiya version. And while we're talking about the teams, let's talk about the Phoenix characters. Because, well, I just want to talk about their armors. I'm just gonna say it, in the beginning of the series, neither one of them has the best looking armor. And I get it, functionality over fashion. But I mean, if you're gonna go around saving the world, might as well look good doing it. Fortunately, Ikki's cloth changes as the series progresses. By the time we hit the Omega series, that thing looks amazing. Both characters also play important roles in their groups. Renga, I guess you could say, was the smart one, kind of like the advisor to the group.
この強烈な日差しで日焼けがちょっと心配。しかも女子供を連れての天空殿までの旅。それに八部衆の追っ手のおまけ付きとくればなかなか楽しめそうじゃない？
誰が女子供なんだよ。
シュラオシュラとよろしく頼むよね。
気色悪いやつだな。
And Ikki, well, he was pretty damn smart in his own right, but he was mainly used as a muscle. When you wanted people moved, you send Ikki.
何ですか？何が起こったというのですか？あれはなんだ？これはコスモ。そうです。コスモがオーラとなって燃え立っている。
このコスモをいきなり胸騒ぎのように感じた。このとてつもないコスモは何か。今までこの冥界に入り込んでいたセイントとは違うコスモ。しかもなんという攻撃的なコスモなのだ。まさかこのコスモの持ち主はあの男では。
フェニックス一騎。
Speaking of Ikki, he and Guy are two characters that were introduced as sudden villains that seemed to have mysteriously turned traitor since, to everyone else's knowledge, they were all on the same team. Both shows also feature a crazy girl, Sheena and Renge. Sheena, well, she initially hated Seiya for beating all of her students and putting his filthy Japanese hands on her nation's Greek cloth. She even attempted to kill him every time she saw him for the first half of the series. But, like all good characters, she eventually went through character growth, eventually siding with Seiya, saving his life several times, and over time, proclaiming her love for him, going from one of his biggest enemies to the mentor of his successor, and even going so far as to smash anyone who dared to badmouth Seiya, the greatest of all saints. Renge? Well, Renge is a different story. When we initially meet her, she seems pretty nice. Well, as nice as a background character can be. But, for reasons we'll get into later, she quickly becomes an enemy, hunting down the main group with the determination of a predator. And, despite most of the main group being her lifelong friends and teammates, she has absolutely no issues or remorse hunting them down with the explicit intent to kill them. And whenever they bring this up, she's like, "Fuck you!" And the real kicker to this, when she finds out that she was lied to and her treacherous boss was the real villain, she keeps going on her murder mission because she loves him and is willing to do anything, even turn traitor on a flip of a dime, despite that being the reason she was so gung-ho to kill the original team. And after all is said and done, she reunites with her old team like nothing happened. She never really brings it up. There's like an awkward silence, like once for a few seconds, but nothing really comes of it. I don't think she ever really apologizes, and she never really brings up the depth of the man who she apparently loved. Next we have the sister role model. Both are redheads. Marin is Seiya's teacher and a close friend, and acted like a big sister to him for most of his life. So much that Seiya thought that she was his actual long-lost sister he had been searching for years. Salis is also a big sister figure to Shurato, only for a much shorter amount of time, sacrificing herself to save him only a few days after they officially met. And we still have two important characters to go, Athena and Vishnu. Look at this. Just look at this. I'll tell you what you're looking at. You're looking at a mirror. Both characters are fairly tall, especially Vishnu. Both characters have long hair and wear white dresses, if you couldn't tell from their names. Both of these characters are based on real-world gods. Athena from the Greek religion, and Vishnu from Hinduism. Both are leaders of huge armies and protect the earth from evil gods. Athena and Vishnu also have powers related to reincarnation. Vishnu can reincarnate anyone in her kingdom, except for when she can't. She apparently also can't reincarnate herself. Athena, while she can't bring back the dead, but she can sort of reincarnate herself. Every few centuries or so, the war over Earth kicks off, usually started by Hades. Every time this happens, Athena is born somewhere on Earth. The catch is, every time it happens, she has no memory of her past lives, or her true identity. It usually falls to the saints to find her, and bring her back to her temple, and raise her, all while protecting her as she eventually rises to the role of goddess. In the Saint Seiya series, I believe this is used mostly as a plot device, whereas with Vishnu, reincarnation is part of the religion her character is based off. Also in both series, a huge chunk of the plot revolves around both Athena and Vishnu becoming immobilized, while the main group has to race the clock to save them before they die. Next, the main protagonist. Saint Seiya's first major villain and Shurato's main villain are very similar. I know, what are the odds? Gemini Saga, my personal favorite saint, and Indraha are both second in command to the goddess, and their strongest warriors. Both also seem to have attacks that teleport people to different locations and dark dimensions that they have control of. Mother of God, they're not even trying. If you were to ask their friends, they would say that Saga and Indraha are both kind individuals with pure hearts. For Saga, this is partly because he is the Gemini Saint and has a literal split personality, one pure good and the other pure evil. And Indraha is just a jackass, I guess. I mean, I think they imply that he got corrupted by an evil god, but... Story. Well, this is going to be a long section, so let's get started. Both stories begin by showing both characters at a young age and starting their martial arts training. The story doesn't really kick off until the tournament. At Seiya's tournament, Ikki appears and steals the gold Sagittarius cloth, ultimately leading Seiya down the path of a gold saint. During Shurato's tournament, he is in the middle of a match with his best friend when they're both instantly teleported to another world where Shurato discovers his destiny. Also during this tournament, Seiya and Shurato have epic clashes in the air with their long-haired best friends. A short time later, we discover that each universe has an elite group of warriors that also act as authority figures whenever the true leaders are absent. Also, it's a lot easier to tell who the elite warriors are in the Saint Seiya universe than it is the Shurato universe.
I love gold!
Both of these elite groups are led by gods based on real-world religions. We also find out that these gods created the armors for the warriors to defend the earth from a centuries-old war involving rival evil gods. And this war is set up to start again. Unfortunately for these gods, their strongest and loyalist soldiers plotted to usurp their positions by attempting to kill and/or imprison them. Indraha imprisons Vishnu in stone during her meditation, but is caught by Hyoga and Shurato. Indraha completely wipes the floor with them, forcing them to escape, along with Vishnu's protege. Indraha proclaims them traitors, and that they were the ones who hurt Vishnu. Saga actually tries to stab a baby Athena, but is stopped by Sagittarius Alios.
Son of an alien whore. Someone fetch me a better dagger so I may properly stab this baby!
Who takes baby Athena, but gets mortally wounded in the process. Saga, having killed the Pope, takes his place, claiming Alios is the real traitor, and that the baby Athena has been locked away until she's an adult. Years later, Athena returns with a small group of bronze saints. But before she can tell her loyal saints the truth, Saga shoots her with a golden arrow. If Seiya and friends can't stop Saga and reclaim Athena's own cloth in 12 hours, she will die. While in the process, Saga proclaims Seiya and his friends are traitors and that their Athena is a fake, leaving the gold saints to hunt down these supposed traitors. Now, this is another instance where I think Saint Seiya does a better job at fleshing out his characters, because in both cases, these elite group of warriors have known each other for years. They've trained together, fought together, but the Gold Saints have more realistic reactions. Some of them hear Seiya out and even believe him. Some determine whether he's lying or not based off his determination in a fight. In a shonen anime, that's reasonable. Others just don't believe him, instead trusting their friend and leader, Saga, and just try to kill Seiya. And yet some are even aware that Saga is the bad guy, but still go along with him because they've been corrupted by power. All of these is what I would consider normal reactions to this new Athena suddenly appearing. Shurato's show, on the other hand, well, let me say this. I totally understand why everyone so easily believed Shurato was a traitor. He's new, he appeared the same day as Vishnu was attacked, and Guy, the person who appeared in the world with him that day, seemed to have suddenly, inexplicably turned evil. Plus Shurato is a bit of an asshole. The day he arrives, he is welcomed by everyone, and they even throw a huge feast for him. He acts kind of respectful, but when he couldn't find the bathroom, he decided to go pee off one of the highest levels of this apparently golden temple.
What an asshole!
But the other guys, well, one of them manages to see reason and believes them, albeit after a big struggle. The other just figures out that Indraha was lying and defects. But the remaining three have no problem going after childhood friends with the express reason of murdering them. And their attitudes for this range from being too stubborn to care what they have to say, to catty bitch, to sociopath, just looking for a reason to kill. Back on point. Both groups have to split up to travel to different temples to achieve their goals. In one of these temples, they get a message that pretty much exposes the plot of the real traitors. By the end of this ordeal, everyone almost dies, stopping the real traitor, and incidentally, both traitors seem to die in peace, being somewhat relieved that their evil plans were stopped.
You magnificent bastard, I read your book!
Then, both group of heroes get a little downtime. Not much though, because almost immediately, new gods appear to take over the world. Seiya actually has to face two armies back to back. First, he has to face Odin's god warriors, who have been tricked by Poseidon, whose army he has to fight next. Shurato has to fight the returning army of the evil gods, led by Shiva. The battle against these gods are when both characters go gold, and at the end of the story, the gods are defeated and the heroes live their lives and laugh their asses off at just how much they stole from each other, one more than the other. And that's Saint Seiya and the Legend of the Heavenly Sphere, Shurato. Two shows so similar you could probably take them to court for so many reasons. And I know you're not gonna believe me, but despite how much I rip on Heavenly Sphere, I recommend you go out and watch this show. I've always been on the mindset, just because you do an idea well the first time doesn't mean you can't do it well a second or third time. And Legend of the Heavenly Sphere Shurato does its story pretty well. Is it as good as Seiya? No, but it's like comparing Captain America to Superman. I mean, sure, Captain America got the shield and the fighting skills and the similar color scheme, but come on, there's a reason Superman is considered to be the father of all superheroes. Just like there's a reason that Saint Seiya is so well remembered and continues to this very day. Hell, I just found out they're getting another anime series next year. But despite that, Heavenly Sphere does still have its good points. And if nothing else, Heavenly Sphere does have a little more of a satisfying ending than the original Saint Seiya series. In the original series at least, important character motivations are raised and then just kind of forgotten. Like Seiya's search for his sister and Hyoga's goal to save his mother. And Seiya apparently dies and it stayed that way until the sequel series, where he just wasn't. But despite that, the actual ending is fine. Not great, but serviceable. And so is Shurato's series. So that was Pegasus Seiya, Athena's greatest warrior, and the Lion Shakti, Shurato, Vishnu's divine defender. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.